Hey everybody, my name is David Michael,
And I'm Michael Carter.
and we are
Ridiculously bored.
Welcome back. We are glad to be back. Episode number 21 after a little brief break. How are you doing, Michael?
I am well. I have missed this. I actually, not talking to you in general, but this is a highlight. I like doing this.
Yeah, I was going to say, that makes one of us.
Well, that boomerang nicely.
I enjoyed my time off. I got shit done.
Yeah. So, all right. How was your week, David? We'll mix it up a little bit. How was your week? Weeks,
Jesus.
plural.
Weeks. It's been, gosh, I feel like it's been almost a month since the last time we recorded this. Tons happened. On my update on my dad, I haven't told you about this, but he fell in the tub, I guess, while he was going to take a shower, and hit his head. So I had to bring him to the emergency room. And we brought him in, and they checked him out, and they said he was fine. He could have had a concussion, but and they asked him, like, did you hit your head hard? Of course, he's like overplaying it and being like, no, I hardly hit my head. So it was, no big deal, other than a couple of hours lost, right? So the next day I call the VA and I call a social worker, and I'm like, look, like, he hit his head. He's getting pretty close to, like, you guys to sweep in and like help out, right? And she's like, well, I can send somebody over to help him take a shower.
Oh, how do I sign up for that?
I'm like, hold on. Like, he doesn't need help taking a shower. He needs like a place to live, like, a place to go.
Who are you to
And
take
she's
that
like,
you tell him he needs somebody to take a shower.
I've not finished the fucking story yet.
All right, go ahead.
So I'm like, all right, well, fine. Like, what, is this like a benefit, like a VA benefit? And she's like, yeah, we'll send them there up to like 2 or 3 times a week, and they'll help him take a bath. And then, they can also do some other things around the house. I'm like, oh, hold on. What other things? and
Do they clean the royal penis, to quote Eddie Murphy?
And they're like, well, they can do like up to an hour of light cleaning. I'm like, fuck yes, sign it up. Get that shit over there right now. Because I've been going over his house like 4 days a week just to clean up, because he's such a slob, and like he forgets. He'll take an ice cream out, he'll eat it, and he'll put the wrapper down with a half-eaten thing of ice cream, and then it'll like melt and it'll sit there for like 3 or 4 days. So I'm like, yes, sign me up.
So is this
she actually started last week.
Is this going to be a maid, or is this does she have a medical? I don't know what medical degree, nursing degree,
she's
whatever.
She's like a nurse, but she's this sweet little old, like 60-year-old Filipino lady. And my dad, not being, all there, he's got Alzheimer's, for folks that haven't listened to the show before. He thinks, I knew he wouldn't like someone coming and like helping him shower, right? And he still won't. He's still like, he fights it every time. And she has yet to get him to actually take a shower. So she's like, all right, all I can do is ask. And then she goes on and like, she'll do his laundry and she'll do some light housework, which is awesome, because he's not doing any of that. And then, so him being a little bit not all there, he's like, I think this chick wants to get laid. She keeps asking me to get in the shower with her. And I'm like, Dad, this is her job. This is like what she's here to do. But I keep on calling her the cleaning lady, because if I call her like the shower lady, he'll like freak out. So yeah, it's pretty funny. He's like, she keeps hitting on me. Every time she comes over, she wants to get me in the shower.
Yeah, and you're like, and why aren't you saying yes? That's the question.
Right?
That's great. That is great. Hey, Matt, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on in your life since the last time we spoke?
So nothing that crazy. So one thing, though, like, it's funny that you talk about him falling in the shower, actually. I've said before that I think my house is trying to kill me, right? I blew out my neon black ice, or my house is trying to kill people. We had a guy a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago, come in. He was doing something on the house. He fell down the stairs And like the whole way
Jesus.
down, he was like, motherfucker, goddamn shit. The whole way down the stairs. So I came home. I was away for work for a couple days. First time I've actually gone really anywhere in a year and a half or 15 months, whatever. I went to our Long Island office. So I was out there for a couple days, stayed at hotels. So I had a bag with me. I had my backpack with all my computer stuff in it.
Can I ask why? Like, why did they need you the next, like 5 towns over?
We wanted to have an all-day meeting with all the partners in our group because having discussions with them on the phone or getting them all to agree on something, sometimes it's like herding cats. So I was like, let's get a day and a half where we're all in the same room. We'll get a big conference room so nobody's next to each other. They can feel comfortable. And let's talk about some big issues because they've just been kind of getting put on the back burner because every time we try to get all 6 of us on the phone, we can't. So that's why we organized this. And we organized it weeks ago so everybody could kind of free up their schedule. So I come home and I come downstairs and I'm bringing down my luggage and my computer bag. And I don't know what the fuck happened. I miscounted the stairs, thought I was on the bottom one. I wasn't. Flying forward, fall on the ground, knock the wind out of myself. Like, so now,
wow.
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen since like back in the schoolyard when you land on like a football.
Somebody.
Well, that's never happened to me fighting, thank God.
Yeah. Or you were, the hula hoop caught you the wrong way. No, I'm kidding. So I had to call my wife to come downstairs because at the point
Did you sit there on the floor going,
basically, and I was like, and sometimes like she goes to bed rather early. So if I call her for something like this, she's like, why the fuck do I got to come downstairs? So this time I was just like, can you come downstairs for a minute, please? So she came down, she opens the door. I'm at the bottom of the stairs lying down on the ground. And I'm like, before you panic, I'm relatively okay. I'm like, but I need some help here.
She wasn't panicking. She's probably saying, this fucking idiot. What now?
I thought it was weird that she stood on the top of the step and checked if our insurance was paid. Knocked the fucking wind out of myself. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I've ever done that.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's like probably 30 years.
Like you couldn't catch your breath. Yep. So like I was like, oh my God, like what else is wrong? And then
it's the worst feeling ever.
Yep. And then like everything kind of settled down a little bit. I got up. I got a scratch on my back from like I fucking slammed into the wall. No big deal. I was like, I actually feel relatively okay. A couple hours go by and the adrenaline now goes away. And I'm like, motherfucker, this hurts. This hurts. So I just got a couple bruises, but not that bad. But yeah,
Jesus
so it's
Christ.
funny. Your dad fell and I fell. Where's my lady to come and watch the royal penis?
I think maybe it's the universe telling you shouldn't own a fucking house because every fucking time you find a way to hurt yourself.
I know. Well, based on the rates of pay and the expense of the mortgage, that could be the universe telling me not to own a house as well.
So is the housing market in Connecticut going like the housing market in Phoenix? Because right now I can dump my house for probably like 75% more than what I paid for it. It's ridiculous. And I've only owned it for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So I don't think it's that extreme, but I will say this. Our house is a new house and it was built 14 months ago. The guy was building, it's not a community, but the guy who he bought this old property, an acre and a half, cut it up to 10 properties and he was building one on each. And he still had 5 or 6 left. And the houses they're all around the same size, but the property gets smaller and smaller the further you go down. Kind of like triangles out at the bottom of
I bet you the price ain't getting smaller and smaller.
Price has gotten larger on each one.
Yeah.
So originally when he was selling them, each time he sold one, he added a couple $1,000s, literally only like $4,000 or $5,000. The last house, which is 30% smaller in size because we did the full finished basement, half of the property went for 10% more than my house went for.
Yeah, that's great. It's going to drive up your property value.
So yeah, I'm going to be refinancing soon. And, if I need to take out a home equity line, do whatever the fuck I want with it.
Well, yeah, and then you can get rid of the PMI if you're paying for mortgage insurance because you'll have more than 20% equity.
It's definitely gone crazy. Houses around, like anybody who owns property that haven't been building, all of a sudden they're like knocking down the trees and they're like, house for sale, we'll build to suit.
Yeah.
Like that's everywhere now.
It's fucking insane though, because okay, great. So you sell your property, you make a bit of money. You can't buy anything, right? Because everything is so inflated. Like you're going to buy like half the house for twice the money. I mean,
Right.
so It's, the only thing you can do, and my wife and I have actually thought about this, is what if we sold the house and then just rented for the next couple of years, pocket the cash, right? Or invest it for a couple of years and then take it and buy something else when the market drops. Because it's going to drop.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
I actually had a friend do that about 10, 12 years ago. Just before the market crashed, he was like, I'm getting such good offers on my house. He's like, I'm going to fucking sell it. And then he's like, I'll wait a little bit to decide what I want. And then it was the same thing, like 3 or 4 years. I mean, you can just load up the RV and start driving around.
Oh, fuck that. Oh, don't even get me started on the RV, man. Holy shit. So we've had, I think I told you this, we've been renting it out, and which is awesome because it pays for itself. We've, the monthly nut is X. We get X plus, 20% every month.
Yep.
Just from renting it out. And you only need to rent it out for like 1 or 2 weekends a month, which is great, except every fucking time we get it back, there's something else wrong with it. Like the first time, like I think somebody spilled something and they didn't clean it up. So the floor like warped because it's like, just like plywood underneath the linoleum floor. So thankfully that was under warranty. They replaced it. We got it back. We just sent it out a week ago with another couple, and one of the slides broke. The slide for the bedroom, which slides out like, 6 feet or whatever from the RV. Well, that broke. Well, now it doesn't extend. Well, I kind of fixed it and, thought nothing of it, and it was working fine. And then we just had another renter pick it up, and they get out there and the slide doesn't work. So now we have to refund them part of their money because they have the RV out in the middle of nowhere and they can't extend the bed. Thankfully, The thing sleeps like 8 people. So there's other places you can sleep, but it's just fucking pain in the ass. I think when we get it back, we're going to get the slide fixed and then just stop renting it out.
Do you have like, how when you have an apartment, you pay like security, you pay first, last month and security. Do you have these people pay security that you get to keep if they screw something up?
Oh, it's like $2,500, the security deposit. So yeah. In fact, the guy who rented it and then spilled something, we held on to a security deposit just in case the warranty didn't cover the flooring. Right. Thankfully it did, and we just refunded his money back. And he was totally cool about it. He's like, look, I had 3 kids. Sorry, I missed it. I'm like, look, whatever. I keep telling people though, I'm like, look, if you get into an accident, just make sure you total it. I don't want to get half an RV back and then have to have it sit in the freaking dealership for like 6 months while they fix it. Like, just total it and I'll buy a new one.
I want to add in, and hopefully everybody survives because they're fucking totaling an RV.
Put your seatbelt on and then hit the gas.
See, here's what I'd be worried about. Look, I don't do the Airbnb thing. I never have. I'm not against it. I would rent from it, but I've never done it. Right. Because of the fact that, like, I know when I rent a car, I beat the fucking shit out of it. I have no problem, revving as fast as you need to, going as fast as you need to, stopping as hard as you need to, because I don't give a shit about it, because I'm going to return it at the end of the couple of days of rental. So that would be my concern. I
grew out of that phase when I was 25.
Well, I still haven't. So if I'm renting it, I'm renting something like if I'm renting my house or I'm renting my RV or something like that through like the Airbnb, that's what I'd be worried about. And so thankfully, it sounds like you don't have that issue a lot, but it's happened once. And then the other thing is just a mechanical issue. That's not like somebody fucked it up. It just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'd be worried about.
We've been pretty lucky. I mean, not only do they have to put a pretty big down payment, like security deposit, but they're required through the rental site to pay for insurance. And it's not expensive. I think it's like an extra $100 and it covers the whole thing for the weekend. But yeah, I mean, we've never had to make an insurance claim on it. So thankfully, yeah.
So, how in the past we've talked a little bit about New Rochelle, having come from there, stories from there, et cetera, et cetera.
New Rock City.
Yeah, holler. So, what is kind of what I'll call the final nail? Maybe it's a bad choice of word. In the New Rochelle coffin. Actually, this is a great analogy. I like it, actually. I didn't mean that. It didn't. Good job, Michael.
Fucking say it.
My dad has now sold his cemetery plot in New Rochelle. He's like, I'm done with this place. I'm not, because, he's been out of there for 8 years now. He lives up here near me. So he's like, look, why do I need that plot anymore? Like, the plan was, if we were going to live in New Rochelle till we died, then we would be buried in that cemetery. So he's actually selling his plot in his cemetery back to the place. Now, The funny
So
thing
do
is,
plots,
what?
do they go up in value?
See, I think they
it's like,
do, but he's not
oh,
getting more. They're
oh,
giving him exactly what he paid.
oh,
I
that's
would
bullshit.
have to think the value has gone up.
Yes.
So, but he's like, I'll just take what I gave. He's like, I'm
Especially
fine with
to the, what, 4 families that have, deceased in that area.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they all would jump on that.
Yep. So, like, I think if he really spent the time and tried to like sell it outside of the place, he could have probably found somebody. But the time and effort
Well,
to
yeah,
that.
the fucking name's on the tombstone. Just go there and just be like, okay, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Brown, let's go ahead and I'll find your ass.
So you know how kids do that like crayon thing over not tombstones, but they might do it over like rocks or flowers or something. They do it over the names and they come home. They're like, okay, New Rochelle Smith, hello. New Rochelle Jones, hello.
Or just put a fucking sticky note on the tombstone. Just be like, hey, if you want the plot next to this one, call me.
Hope your family's well. If not,
Yeah, for those of you that are listening, yeah, we did not grow up in the last 3 to 4 weeks since our last episode. Just FYI.
yeah. If you were hoping to see the big change, you'd be wrong.
Yeah, we did not get more mature.
So speaking of things changing, I don't know how it came about because it's an old ass interview. There's a Sean Connery interview on Barbara Walters from like 30 something years ago where she asked him about like something about violence towards women or would you hit a woman? And in that interview, he's like, look, sometimes they deserve it, right? Look, everybody, nobody write in. This is not my words.
I was going to jokingly say only if she deserves it, right? just a joke, but I actually thought about it in the half a second and was like, no, you can't say that anymore.
Yeah. So she asked him and he's like, well, if she deserves it, he's like, sometimes they got to have the last word. He's like, you let them have the last word, then they still won't stop. And he's like, sometimes you hit them. So flash forward about 15 years later. So now 15 years ago, she has him in again. And she's like, there's some things that sometimes somebody says many, many years ago that when you ask them about it now, they feel bad for her. They're like, I wish I didn't say that. So she says to him, so Sean, do you remember this? And she plays the clip for him. And she's like, so now that you've had all this time to think about it, how do you feel? And he said, and I want to make sure I got this right, so I wrote it down, I haven't changed my opinion. So can you imagine like all the shit that's happening now and how everybody is so scared to say anything and anything they do say they take back? Can you imagine in 15 or 20 years from now when you go back to this and somebody's like, yeah, no, I meant for him to go fuck himself. Like, it's just, it was amazing to me. And I had never seen it before. And I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but I was like, Jesus, man, I could not believe it.
I once you hit a certain age, it's like my dad, right? He's fucking 75 years old. He can sit there and he can hit on the cleaning lady and it's okay because he's a cute little old man. You or I do it, all of a sudden it's sexual assault.
Right. Agreed. And you also, when you get to that age, so I've once said to Hot Chocolate, I think it was, I can't wait till I'm the age when I can say and do whatever I want. And he said, you're there now. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what you're waiting for. But yeah, no, I agree. Like I met my friend's grandmother who was, I don't know, maybe 95 years old, GQ's grandmother when she was still alive. And she was like, oh, look, another nice fat friend of yours. I'm like,
oh,
this is the first time I met her. So I'm glad she's dead. No, I'm just kidding.
That's fucked up.
All right. So I want to try a new segment with you.
Okay,
All right?
let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to call it a fact and a falsehood. And what I'm going to do is, and I kind of told you about this, but I don't really know how I want to do this because, look, as you've mentioned to me, the idea of this has been around forever, right? To tell the truth was game show 60 years ago, which was this same type thing. Somebody would say something that was true and something that wasn't. You had to figure it out. So I'm calling it a fact and a falsehood because I'm going to say one thing that's true, one thing that's false, and you can ask me a question or two. And the worry I have is if I allow you to ask too many questions, I'll get caught up in the falsehood because I won't be able to answer it what feels naturally. And you'll be like, you waited too long, you thought about it, that's the one, and you're going to get it.
All right. Well, so, don't overthink this too much.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how you feel. All right.
I'm not that competitive that I need to get it right every time.
I would keep score. I'd be like, so Dave, this is the third time we've done this, and 2 of them I've gotten right. Yes. All right. So, and some of them I might give you something that's enough of a truth in there, but overall it's false because I changed 1 or 2 things. So here they are. All right. I'm going to give you 2 items. 1, I have a cousin who was kidnapped. 2, I slept with my mom's coworker when I was younger. Go ahead. Ask questions.
I don't feel like this is fair because both of these are within your realm of experiences.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I picked the first 2, one that actually was the truth was so crazy. I'm like, he's either going to be like, there's no fucking way, or absolutely that's it right away. So I tried to pick 2 that had a similar feel to it. So, all right. What do you want to know about the cousin who was kidnapped?
What location was that cousin in?
New Rochelle, where we grew up.
Okay. All right. Next one.
All right. So, slept with my mom's coworker when I was younger. Also New Rochelle.
Where did your mom work that this person was her coworker?
So my mom worked at the American White Cross factory. She made or supervised Band-Aids. Like, so we used to have all these Band-Aids growing up. This part is, regardless of the rest, this part is 100% true. We used to get the Band-Aids that, like when they go down the line and like maybe the packaging was a little off. So they're like, can't sell this. So we had closets full of Band-Aids because it was all the seconds. They were good enough, but they were the seconds. So it didn't happen at work. It happened again in New Rochelle.
I just wanted to know what time frame it is, because I remember where your mom had certain jobs, and I remember how old you were. I'm going to say you were a little bit too young to have slept with your mom's coworker while she was working at the Band-Aid factory.
All right. So you're going to go with, I have a cousin who was kidnapped is the truth?
I'm going to say that is the truth.
All right. So I'll start with the slept with my mom's coworker when I was younger. My mom had a coworker that lived not too far from us. She lived down the street from us near Trinity School. So I used to go by the house kind of every day when going to middle school. So I was maybe 13, 14 years old. She got to a point where her and I started talking every day on the way home because I had to walk right past her house. One of the days she invited me in, she was wearing very provocative clothing. But as you mentioned, I was too young to figure out what was happening, and I didn't take advantage of it. So the truth is I had a cousin who was kidnapped. His family was supposed to move overseas together. And my uncle said to my aunt, they were like, the house was on the market. They had packed everything. They had shipped stuff over. So the process was already happening. He sent my aunt out to go get something. And in that time that she left, he took my cousin and went to Italy without her. So the fact is, I have a cousin who was kidnapped.
Well, that's crazy.
What do you think of the game?
I think I'm undefeated is what I think.
Oh, but I'm not that competitive.
But who's counting?
I like it. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. No, I can dig that. Does this officially replace the joke vault?
The joke vault has, for the time being, been retired. We'll give it a couple weeks. We'll see what happens. I mean,
all right. First of all you bitches that are about to fucking comment below, F David, keep the joke vault. Fuck you all. First of all. Second of all, it was not my choice.
Yeah. Third, like, subscribe, share. Yeah, I figured we'd change it up a little bit because, as you said, the joke vault's becoming a little bit harder to pull some of the, though never really called jewels by the listeners, but some of the jewels out of there. So yeah, I put it aside for a little bit. So that's going to be the replacement.
Family jewels. Jeez. Cool. So this next segment, I didn't know about it until I looked at the meeting notes today, and I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to play this. Go ahead, describe it.
All right. So the new one is describe a movie badly. So again, this is something that has been around, but I gave it a thought. So it's where one of us will describe a movie that is not really what the movie is. So like I know you were like, you don't need to give an example. I like an example of a father and the son get in an argument, and the father ends up cutting the son's hand off. That'd be a really
Empire
bad
Strikes
way to
Back.
describe Star Wars, right? So,
Right.
all right, so you're going to describe the movie to me and see how I do?
Sure.
All right.
I got a bunch of them here. I thought about like making my own shit up, but there's just too many good things on the web. So let's see. Illegal immigrant chased by the feds.
Illegal immigrant chased by the feds. Well, see, the first name that comes to mind is a fugitive, but I don't think that's it.
No. All right, let's do this one guess. Otherwise, we could be here for hours playing this game.
So I'm going to guess the fugitive.
All right, so no, E.T.
No. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. I think this will be fun. I think it'll be interesting. If anybody wants to write on the bottom of our channel, YouTube channel, they can write something and we'll try to guess it there as well. Get a little interaction with the listeners. All right. So something that we are carrying over, one crazy question.
Hold on. Are you going to ask me or what?
No, that was it.
I want to play.
I don't have any for you.
You don't have any?
No, I didn't think of it. You said you had one, so I was like, all right, we'll just leave it at that.
But you put it in the meeting notes, which usually means you had prepared to play the damn game.
I did not, actually.
Oh, my God. You lazy bastard.
All right. Well, we could think of one.
Seriously, we could go back and forth. All right, let's do a couple more for you. Let's make you look bad.
All right, go ahead.
All right, ready? The next one.
At least mine aren't from the internet. Go ahead.
Drug-addicted girl takes advantage of a mentally challenged boy for 3 decades.
Oh. 3 decades. I gotta think here. Mentally challenged or drug addicted? What did you say? What's the girl?
Drug-addicted.
Drug-addicted.
3.
Yeah.
2.
No, I can't get
1.
it. Go ahead.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, man. Ouch.
All right, I'll give you an easy one. Here we go.
Right.
Guy on drugs wins the war by throwing a frisbee.
Guy on drugs wins the war by throwing a frisbee.
This was your game.
I know. I didn't say I was going to be good at it.
All right, the answer is Captain America.
Yeah. I do like the game, though. All right, next time I will come with some myself. I thought it was going to be just one, but I got it.
Some of these are really fucking hard. Here, I'll give you one more because there's thousands of them.
Okay.
Noseless guy has an unhealthy obsession with a teenage boy.
Noseless. It's got to be Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to end on a high note.
Yes. There's some really good ones out there. There's some really fucked up ones out there too.
All right. Maybe mine I'll describe a bad porn. Dad falls in shower, gets nurse to come over. All right. So, all right, you're right. I guess I should have thought about it. For some reason I thought like it would be one forward, one. Like I would do the fact and falsehood to you, you would do the movie one to me. But we'll fix that going
forward.
All right,
so hold on a second. I had an unethical thought, and I think, since we're having this conversation, of course, why don't we just talk about it out loud?
Yeah. Yes, she should give him a hand job. Oh, is that what you were going to ask?
But, I mean, all right, so...
She's in the shower. This is the cleanup.
This is, like, ethically, like, should I offer her, like, $20 and just be like, hey, just make sure he's extra clean? Like, would a good son do that for his parents, or is that just crossing every fucking boundary and line possible?
Crossing every boundary, yes. A good son, yes. He's single. He's an older guy. I know the
it's
intention
illegal
isn't.
Once I offer money, though. Unless we go to Mexico.
Like, bring her to Zona Norte. I know that, like, marijuana is being decriminalized. Maybe prostitution will be decriminalized in a lot of places.
It is the world's oldest profession.
Mm-hmm. And it seems to be recession-proof from what I've heard over the last couple of years. There's been no effect of the pandemic on it.
All right, I'm going to go with no on that one. Moving on.
The good, righteous thing would be to say is no. And that's rude of you to even think it. But $20 on the counter, whatever happens, happens. Just saying.
Make sure you're clean behind his ears.
Yeah. Don't forget anything. All right. Well,
Sorry, I just thought I had to go there.
that's all right. Trust me. I will say this though. How about this? If I'm 75 years old and single and need somebody to help shower me, I hope they do that without offering them $20. How about that? All right. One crazy question. So, would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors or go into the future and meet your great grandchildren, and why?
Interesting question. I have always been a person that doesn't really dwell on the past. And I don't know a whole lot about my ancestry other than what I looked up on like ancestry.com. I do know that my grandfather, my dad's dad, took off by himself on a boat. I believe this to be true. My cousins, if they're listening to this, they'll freaking call me up and tell me I'm a liar. But this is what I read. He jumped on a boat and came to the U.S. when he was 12 in 1898.
By himself?
By himself.
Wow.
Wanted the better life. So, and then he proceeded to find the better life by fucking every woman that he could, and he had 19 children. So my dad is one of 19. So having said that, I think it would be much more interesting to see how fucked up my grandchildren turn out, because the way that things are going right now in the world, I can't imagine it getting better before it gets worse.
So you would go forward.
I would go forward. Yes.
And your great grandchildren will say, "Hey, do you remember when great granddad was getting hand jobs from his cleaning lady?" So I'm similar. I would want to go forward for a couple reasons. The way the world has evolved, even just over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, that going backwards, I don't think, while I get interesting facts from family members and family history and things like that, I just don't think there'll be as much to learn going backwards. It'll be an interesting time, but it won't be things to learn. Going forward, I think you can see all the different things that have happened and how technologies continue to evolve, and with the amount of time we spend on electronics now, is that really going to fuck us later on with all the issues that are in the world now? What happens with those? So, like, I would be interested in those, as well as seeing my great grandchildren.
So this is your quest for knowledge. This is also why the forbidden fruit was eaten way back in the olden days, according to that big brown book called the Bible. Wanting wanting to know everything. I will tell you this: there is a certain beauty in going back 100 years and not having all of this bullshit around us. Technology. I mean, you said it right. In the last 50 years, we have advanced 100 times more than human beings have in the last 20 to 30,000 years.
Yeah.
So, and it's only going to get faster, right? It's only going to keep going. So going back to a time when there's no internet, no social media, no fucking crazies that believe that QAnon is a thing. I had to throw that in there. Sorry, I just couldn't.
Glad QAnon survived into the new season.
Yeah. I'm still dealing with it today, and it absolutely blows my fucking mind. Anyways, going back to a simpler time is actually somewhat enchanting. I've been watching a lot of like old like Clint Eastwood like westerns lately, and there's something pretty sweet about just being on a range with your horse and your woman and your kids.
Your woman that Sean Connery says you could slap if she's not listening.
But I want to go back to when it was legal to be kids, and I can slap my wife when she talked back to me.
Oh, so you want to move down south? Gotcha. Sorry, down south.
I'm so glad I'm doing the editing, because that for sure would have made the fucking cold intro.
So, question though for you, right? If you're going to go back in time, and I know you always say, "Oh, you overthink this, but at least the questions. They do say ignorance is bliss for a reason, right? If you were to go back in time, knowing what you know now, do you think then also your mind's got to get wiped a little bit? Because that's the difficulty. Like, I know what it is now, if I had to go back 100, 150 years, and knowing that, like, I'm like, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't do this, like, that would bother me. Like, I'd be lost.
So here's where you and I differ. Me being the serial entrepreneur that I am, I'd fucking rock the hell out of 150 years ago. I'd be like, hey, everybody, this is toilet paper. Here's how you use it. That'll be $12.50 a roll, please. I would be that guy that would take all that knowledge of things that we have now that they didn't have 150 years ago, and I would be the guy that's selling them and creating them. I'd be Biff on Back to the Future 2, taking the almanac and going into the past and winning all that money.
Yeah, see, and I'd be the guy who'd be clinging on to a portable air conditioner, being like, one of you motherfuckers create electricity because I need to plug this thing in and it's hot as fuck in here.
Where's Edison? I need that fucker now.
Let me call him. Have you invented that yet? I don't know. I get what you're saying, but like, there's oh fuck, I hate saying things like this because I seem like an old man. There's an episode of Gilligan's Island, right? where they get off the island. It was one of the specials, and
yeah, I remember.
The professor is like, I've created this new thing. It's a flat disc that you can throw, and they're like, that's a frisbee that's been around for 30 years. He's like, what about this? I put wheels on this little piece of wood. They're like, that's called a skateboard. So that's all you'd be doing. You'd be going back with shit you know now. Do you think so? Somebody like you, though, I do think that you would be able to fall in line with the other people who are like creating new shit and discovering stuff, right? I would be the guy who'd be like, bark tastes good. I like bark. Because I don't know do any of that shit. So it'd be interesting. All right.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question, though. Definitely makes you ponder whether or not, we're in the right place.
Yes. So with that, we'll go back to the future. We'll see you next episode. I'm Michael Carter.
And I'm David Michael.
And we're back!